very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushin Sadish Kumar.
Hello there, very good evening. I'm Javed Bongzo and we begin with the headlines of tonight's news.
The Australian media focuses special attention on the historic destination of a Sri Lankan aircraft. The GCE Ordinary Level examination will be conducted from the 1st to the 11th of March next year. Sri Lanka's maiden wind-powered plant complex will be vested with the general public tomorrow. The police says that those who ride motorcycles at excessive speed will be subjected to inspection of psychotherapists. All Manning Market businessmen are being accommodated alternate trading places in Paliagoda. The most extensive vaccination program in the United Kingdom is to commence tomorrow.
Now for those and other stories in detail. Australian media says that a foreign passenger aircraft has arrived in Melbourne City, Australia this morning after a lapse of 5 months. The special feature has been that it was a Sri Lankan aircraft from Colombo with 23 passengers that touched down at the Tullamarine Airport in Melbourne after a period of nearly 6 months. The media further says that this was a new milestone in the development of aviation tourism in Australia. Many prominent Australian media institutions have given live media coverage on the landing of the Sri Lankan plane. The UL604 arrived at the airport around 7:48 a.m. today. All the air passengers in Melbourne were subject to inspections according to health guidelines. All the passengers were placed under quarantine in 3 leading hotels in the city. A relief methodology has been introduced in the payment of hotel bills of the passengers during the quarantine period. Not a single corona-infected person has been reported from the Melbourne city in the past 38 days. However, the Australian government has presented a series of laws pertaining to quarantine to establish health protection of airline passengers. Manager of International Marketing and Distribution of the Sri Lankan Airlines, Dimuth Thenakon, says that regularization on quarantine laws that have been relaxed in carrying passengers to Australia by Sri Lankan aircraft will be reconsidered.
Melbourne Airport closed for international arrivals on 1st July 2020. They opened the airport on 7th of December, that's today. We are the first to land in Melbourne Airport, 7:45. This operation will continue not only to Melbourne, to Sydney as well.
And Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has presided over the declaring open of the Gander Fisheries Harbour project yesterday. The construction is scheduled to be completed within 3 years. A 300-meter-long main breakwater will be erected under the proposed development project. 400 multi-day craft air to be deployed in fishing. The estimated cost of the project is 6,667 million rupees. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that those who know the history are well aware of the fact that they have always maintained the stance that the fishermen should be safeguarded. There is a strong bond between themselves and the fishing community. The Prime Minister further said that Sri Lanka inherits a sea zone of 500,000 square kilometers. The extent of the beach around the country is 1,700 kilometers. In addition, fishing industry is being conducted in reservoirs, canals and rivers throughout the island. The Prime Minister said that even with possessing such magnanimous natural resources, we are still unable to achieve self-sufficiency in our fish requirement. He also said that the government always focuses attention on the nutrition of the people, enhancement of livelihood opportunities. It was with this objective in mind that the highest number of fisheries harbours were constructed in the country. The Prime Minister recalled that even during the period 2005 to 2015, they had provided maximum facilities to the fisheries industry. He added that they have been planning to set up fishery harbours like Gander all over the country, including sub-towns in Jaffna. The Prime Minister said that, however, during the period of government of good governance, the development activities have been stalled. The previous regime had even closed down the existing harbours. Their aim was to take revenge. The Prime Minister had recalled how they turned the Matala airport into a paddy storage. The previous government had imposed taxes on fishermen in 2016. The Prime Minister further said that they will exempt fishermen from income tax in the next 5 years by means of recently presented budget proposals. Necessary plans have been made to resolve problems of the fishermen. The Prime Minister added that Sri Lankan fishermen are being victimized continuously by the illegal encroachments of Indian fishermen. The problem has remained unresolved for decades, despite strenuous attempts for resolution. The Prime Minister further said that the attention of Prime Minister Modi has been focused on the issue in recent discussions with Indian authorities. He has commended the direct involvement of Minister Douglas Devananda in this regard. The Prime Minister has called upon all not to be deceived by false propaganda waged by the opposition. Speaker Mahinda Ababewardena, Ministers Douglas Devananda, Professor G.L. Pires, Dallas Alaperuman, State Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara, as well as other people's representatives were also present on the occasion.
Minister of Education Professor G.L. Pires says that it has been decided to conduct the GCE Ordinary Level Examination from the 1st to the 11th of March next year. The minister was addressing a media briefing today. Minister of Education Professor G.L. Pires said that they have decided to conduct the GCE Ordinary Level Examination from the 1st to the 11th of March next year after taking into consideration of medical instructions. The minister further said that the principals have also a crucial role to play in the holding of the examination. He added that all activities pertaining to holding the exam should be finalized upon continuous discussion with the members of relevant committees in schools. The minister further said that roughly 5,000 examination centers are needed to conduct the GCE Ordinary Level Examination. Well, necessary funds have already been allocated to provide the necessary equipment to the centers without shortage. The minister also said that they hope to evaluate the health situation in the country once in every fortnight. The minister has also expressed optimism in reopening schools throughout the island expeditiously and according to health guidelines. Minister Professor G.L. Pires further said that it was due to the unstinted cooperation of all concerned that they were able to conduct the advanced level and Year 5 scholarship examination successfully. The minister has requested earnestly all not to politicize the issue of education of children. Such actions would only put the future of students into jeopardy. The Ministry of Health says the number of fully cured COVID-19 patients has increased to 20,804. 344 completely recovered patients were discharged from hospitals today. 120 fully cured patients have left COVID-19 treatment centers in the Polonnaru district today. They were residents in the districts of Colombo, Kurunegala, Gampaha, Kaluthara, Galle, Matara, Monaragala and Anuradhapura districts. 3,244 completely recovered COVID-19 patients have left hospitals from commencement of this month until today. 344 complete recoveries were discharged today. The percentage of fully cured COVID-19 patients is at 73.77. The percentage of those continuously undergoing treatment is at 25.74. As a number, this stands at 7,259. 326 corona patients were identified in the island today. They included close associates of the patients in the Palyaguda cluster. The remaining 154 patients have been identified as those connected to the prison cluster. 14,125 PCR tests were conducted yesterday. The total number of PCR tests conducted so far is at 920,039. It has been decided to increase the number of PCR tests conducted within the Colombo city limit with the objective of expeditiously identifying COVID-19 patients. Identification of COVID-19 patients through PCR tests and rapid antigen test has recommenced in Atulugama in Bandaragama today following a temporary suspension. 251 samples for PCR and rapid antigen testing have been obtained. 31 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 from 196 sample tests conducted through rapid antigen method. 3 more COVID-related deaths were reported yesterday. Director General of Health Services says the deaths were reported from Kotte, Kahatodua and Maguna areas. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga, issuing a communique, says the country will be kept open for tourist arrivals according to health guidelines. He adds that in the meantime, bringing back of Sri Lankans to the motherland will continue without obstructions. Minister Ranatunga further says that 45,509 expatriate Sri Lankans have been brought back during the period up to 30th of November. They have arrived from the Kattanayake and Mattala Rajapaksa international airports. He further said that Foreign Affairs Ministry reports have confirmed that 58,892 more Sri Lankans have registered themselves at Sri Lankan missions abroad with the expectation of returning to Sri Lanka. The isolation status imposed on several areas has been withdrawn in with effect from 5 a.m. today.
And the Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemantha Herat, says that the movement of people have largely contributed to the emergence of COVID-19 clusters in the country. He added that the movement of people should be minimized while strictly adhering to health guidelines in order to control the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. He made these remarks at a media briefing held at the Health Promotion Bureau today.
We encountered a cluster at a factory in Minuangoda and extending that cluster to different parts of the Gampaha district. Finally, we ended up another subcluster in Kattanayake BOI factories, few factories, and also Paliyagoda. From Paliyagoda, we had another cluster appearing in Colombo in different places, not more than one cluster definitely, and these are not separate clusters but clusters extending from the original cluster that we encountered in early October. In addition to that, through the different transition of or travelling of people in Gampaha especially and Colombo Western Province, because of the movement of persons in different places, unfortunately this was introduced into the prison system as well as to few other factories in the Western Province. And in those places also, there were small subclusters developed, and we cannot demarcate and say that this is cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3 like, because each and every one is linked to other clusters, and therefore what is required to be kept in our mind is that clusters are appearing basically because of the movement of people, and we need to restrict the movement and also try to adhere to the basic health guidelines that ministry has already advised. By doing so, I think we should be able to control these clusters very soon.
He also made remarks over the concerns directed to the health authorities over the burial of coronavirus victims.
Organizations have already written to the ministry regarding the concerns raised by different people, and the Ministry of Health is continuously reviewing the available evidence through an expert committee, and from time to time they revise, update the existing guidelines, and probably the Human Rights Commission also one of the organizations that may have raised their concerns to the ministry because of the issues raised by general public.
The Mathura Chief Magistrate Court has decided to suspend the foreign travel ban imposed on former Minister Basil Rajapaksa for 3 months. Well, and the order has been delivered when the former minister appeared through a motion in the court today. The case had been filed during the administration of the previous regime regarding a land in Eliyakanda, Mathura. Mathura Chief Magistrate Isuru Nettikumara, upon suspension of the travel ban for 3 months, has declared that the verdict will be declared on the 16th of this month.
And State Minister Nalaka Godaheva says alternate trading premises will be reserved in the new trade complex in Paliyagoda for all businessmen of the Colombo Manning Market. He said at a media briefing today that propaganda being carried out that fees are being levied from traders in this regard is completely false. A group of Manning Market traders were engaged in a protest in Goldface Green today over allocation of stalls in the Paliyagoda new trade complex. Parliamentarian Champika Ranavaka was also present on this occasion. However, the agitators have dispersed after talks with the Urban Development Authority.
මේ ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ හරිද මේක අපිට තියෙන පොදුවේ ප්‍රශ්න හරිද මෙතන මේක එකන දේශපාලන පක්ෂ අපිට වාසි වෙලක් නැහැ මෙතන මේ දේශපාලකයෝ කියන එක එක්කයාගේ වාසි සම්ප්‍රදාය මෙතන කරන්න බෑ හරි.
A media briefing was held at the Ministry of Urban Development today to enlighten the general public on the issue.
November 2020 is not a new thing. It started in 2011. In 2011, then Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development, current President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, had a vision of taking the current money market to a place where there's no congestion, where you can provide more facilities to the traders. It is as per that concept, instead of this 5-acre block of land that is available in Fort, 13-acre space was decided to build a new complex for wholesale of vegetables and fruits. Unfortunately, the project took time. Even though it started based on a concept of in 2011, the project was completed only in 2020, November. Now we are in the process of allocating space to the traders. Here what we are very conscious about is to make sure that none of the existing traders are unfairly treated. We want to make sure that each one of them who is operating in the current money market is given space bigger than what he or she currently has, and a space which has more facilities. The banking facilities, restaurants, transportation facilities, all the facilities are there. So they are going from a location in Peta, which is currently congested, to a better place. And each one of them is going to get space. So right now there is some attempt by some politicians to convey a message that some of these traders who are there in the current money market are not going to get space in the new location, which is totally false. And each and every trader is going to get a space bigger than what they currently have, and not only bigger, with better facilities. And then once we allocate space, something like 95% of the new shops will be given to the existing traders, about 5% will remain, mainly the wholesale shops, and they will be allocated to new traders who will be identified from various parts of the country, who can bring goods at a reasonable price to Colombo, who can help the market to grow and also to bring the prices down. So the basis of allocating those shops are currently being discussed, that we will convey later. But whatever we do, the basis will be for the benefit of the people alone, because the 6.9 billion rupees we have spent on this project belongs to the general public. It is people's money. So people's money cannot be used at the whims and fancies of politicians. It has to be spent in a way that the people will eventually benefit. So by allocating some 95% of the shops to the existing guys and the balance 5% to the new guys, our ultimate objective is to see that the business will grow and the prices will stabilize. And the huge amount of wastage that is happening in the current market will not happen anymore, and the congestion that is taking place in Colombo will not be there anymore.
The funeral of late Minister T.B. Ekanayaka is scheduled to be conducted at the Gander Stadium at Mahawar at 3 p.m. tomorrow. The remains of the late minister were brought to his residence yesterday. T.B. Ekanayaka had entered Parliament in 1994 representing the Kurunegala district. He held several ministerial portfolios under several presidents. The late minister was ailing for some time and passed away in a private hospital in Kurunegala. He was 66 years old at the time of demise.
And the interim report of the committee appointed to investigate the restless situation occurred at the Mahara prison was handed over to the Minister of Justice Ali Sabri and State Minister Lohan Ratwata today. The chairperson of the committee is retired High Court Judge Kusala Sarojini Veerawardena. Additional Secretary to the State Ministry of Prison Reforms and Rehabilitation of Prisoners Nishanta Dhanasinghe is the Secretary of the committee. The interim committee report elaborates on factors that have contributed to the occurrence of the incident, parties responsible and measures to be taken in this connection. It also includes recommendations to be taken to prevent the reoccurrence of such incidents in the future. The 11 prisoners killed and 107 others injured in the chaotic situation that has arisen in the Mahara prison. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohane has also expressed opinion regarding measures taken by the Department of Criminal Investigation in connection of the incident.
The police says the law will be implemented against those riding motorcycles at excessive speed. In addition, the offending riders will be directed to psychiatrists to assess mental health. The police adds that operations continue to arrest those riding motorbikes in roads violating the law. 3 children were killed on a pedestrian crossing several days ago as a result of riding of motorcycle against the law and at high speed. An expecting mother was another victim of this accident. 2 children aged 7 years and 1 year of the woman were killed on the spot. A baby in her womb was also killed. It has also been reported that 40 youth who have organized a motorcycle race in a dangerous manner on the new hospital road in Madivilla yesterday have been arrested. The police has also taken into custody 23 motorcycles in this connection. Inspector of Police of the Mirihana Police Headquarters, Manjula Tushara, says that legal action will be taken against motorcyclists who possessed motorcycles with high engine capacity and who changed registration number plates.
Welcome back. And
well, on other stories, State Minister Sudarshani Fernandopulle says that investigations have revealed that the second COVID wave in the Brandix factory was triggered by a Ukrainian national. The minister was responding to a query raised in Parliament today by the opposition. The votes of the Ministers of Environment and Wildlife were taken up for discussion in the committee stage debate today. Parliamentarian Anurakumar Disanayak has inquired whether government has identified the causes for the arising of the second wave. State Minister Sudarshani Fernandopulle has responded, saying that a member of the Ukrainian National Airline staff who was residing in Ramada Hotel Sidua had contracted COVID-19. Upon examination of staff of the hotel, it has been found out that many of the employees were afflicted with the disease. The minister further said that it has been observed that the hotel staff had contacts with the staff of the Brandix factory. Therefore, she added that they could assume to a great extent that the disease had spread through these contacts.
the newly introduced project Vadasamaga Gamata will be implemented throughout the island from the 14th of this month. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has given relevant instructions at the meeting of the Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Finance in Parliament complex today. The project is to be implemented through identification of genuine needs in the rural and semi-urban areas. Attention will be focused to extend support to the tourist industry subjected to strenuous difficulties in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. Attention has also been focused on the problematic situation pertaining to pensions anomalies and granting candidacy status for some of the officials in elections. Minister Gamini Lokuge, parliamentarians and state officials have also participated in the event.
Sri Lanka's first and biggest wind power plant complex will be declared open tomorrow. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa will participate in the inauguration ceremony of the Thamba Pavani wind power station in Nadukuda in Mana. The plant is scheduled to add 100 megawatts of power to the national grid under several stages. Renewable energy is to be generated via turbines erected on the top of towers of 90 meters height in the power station. A wing of a fan of a turbine is around 62 meters long. 30 such towers have been installed in the wind power garden. A special characteristic of the project has been the ability to complete construction within less than a year under the direction of a company in Denmark. A sum of $200 million has been invested in this regard. The project is able to generate electricity continuously for 20 years.
And today marks the International Civil Aviation Day. This day is celebrated to raise awareness about the role and importance of civil aviation for the social and economic development of countries. The International Civil Aviation Day 2020 is being observed on December 7th. This day was first observed in 1994 as part of the 50th anniversary activities of International Civil Aviation Organization. On December 7, 1996, the United Nations General Assembly recognized this day as International Civil Aviation Day. This day is celebrated worldwide every year to reinforce awareness of the role and importance of International Civil Aviation Organization in air travel across the globe. The International Civil Aviation Organization is an autonomous UN body accountable for keeping up the safety standards of international aviation. This day is commemorated to generate worldwide consciousness about the contribution of international civil aviation to social and economic development. The theme for International Civil Aviation Day 2020 is Advancing Innovation for Global Aviation Development. The Council has decided to keep the same theme until the year 2023.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira has instructed the Geological Survey and Mining Bureau to commence an investigation into minor earth tremors reported time to time from the area in the Victoria Reservoir in Kandy. The assistance of the Peradeniya University and the Mahaweli Authority is to be obtained in this regard. 4 minor earthquakes were reported from Kandy in the recent past. Chairman of the Geological Survey and Mining Bureau, Andra Valpala, says 1 minor tremor has been recorded from inside of the earth. An extensive survey is to be conducted on the tremors through deployment of services of intellectuals in several fields. Future actions is to be taken according to the investigations. Deputy Engineer of the Victoria Reservoir, Vasantha Ehalapitiya, says that the dam of the Victoria Reservoir has not been subjected to any damage as a result of these earthquakes.
And that's it for tonight's news. Do watch us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.